Rogue Radio, now available on Mixcloud at mixcloud.com/Rogue Country. Keep it rogue.
What is going on, guys? Please go listen to Rogue Radio over on Mixcloud. I am there every Monday. The first Monday is going to be a new episode of Rogue Radio. The week after that is an episode of Into the Van, and we're just going to repeat until the end of time and you get sick of me. I'm really proud of what we get to do with Rogue Country and Rogue Radio because we get to champion a platform artists that you may not have heard before, an artist I may not have heard before. Lance Rogers is one of those artists I discovered through Rogue Country, and I'm so glad I did. I was lucky enough to sit down with Lance ahead of his new album release on September 10th. That's this week, folks. I was lucky enough to sit down and chat to him about all things songwriting and touring and motivation, and this is a really great talk, and I really hope you enjoy it. I sure as shit did. And yeah, his album is something to behold, and I can't wait for you all to hear it. But before we get into that, you need to listen to my album, The Next Life. I am super proud of this record. It's been out for over a year now, and I really hope if you've listened to it, you've enjoyed it. If you've not listened to it before, I'm going to drop a little teaser for you now.
As I drive through this memory of what a town's supposed to be. Boarded houses, broken windows, reflecting parts of me. This is where I was born, but it's not where I'll die. That's the funny thing about life, that it always goes on. Nobody gives a damn where you're going, only where you come from. We're all haunted by our past, those ghosts that won't be gone.
And it's available over on Mike333west.com. It's over on Bandcamp. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Napster, all of them. And so is Lance Rogers' new album as well. That's going to be available everywhere on Friday the 10th of September, and I urge you to go listen to it. Harry Pedigo's new album's also out. There's so much great music coming out. I've just picked up Sierra Ferrell's and Jesse Daniels' new records. I just got Choctaw Ridge from Rough Trade, which is a compilation with a ton of great stuff from the 60s and 70s. There's so much music, good and new and old and classic and retro, and it's a bombardment, guys, and it's hard to keep up, but we do it because we love it. And I really think that these new artists coming out of Kentucky are just something to behold. We've had James Reed on before. James is a close friend of Lance's, and Lance is one of those phenomenal songwriters who gets to just hook into what it is to be someone existing in this world, and someone who's just got a perspective that just fits so naturally into song that you can't help but listen. So his album's out September 10th. I'm going to repeat again, that's September 10th, guys. Go listen to it. And without further ado, this is episode 39 of Into the Van with Mike West and Lance Rogers. Welcome to Into the Van with me, Mike West. We'll get this show on the road. Cool. So we just hit record, and you drove back from Cincinnati. So what have the drives been like? What's the length of time you've been driving for between shows at the moment?
We have driven. Now, when we're on tour, we drive quite a bit, but normally I may drive an hour or two between gigs. I just had a show in Frankfurt at a place called The Stave, and it's like 45 minutes to an hour from my house. So it's not that bad. There's quite a few venues within an hour or so drive.
Oh, good.
But when we're on tour, I mean, we've driven from Kentucky to Missouri, all the way out to Kansas City and down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So a lot of driving, but it doesn't bother me, man. The windshield doesn't bother me.
Yeah. What's the longest, like in recent memory that you can remember, like the longest distance between shows?
Between shows, I'll about 3-hour drive is the longest I'll drive for however long. But like I had a gig at a place called Duke's in Indianapolis, Pardon the motorcycles in the back. But I had a show at a place called Duke's in Indianapolis where I opened for Rich Henderson, and that was about a 3-hour drive, but well worth it. It was such a great gig, and then that ended up. We had such a great night that night that Rich invited me to a show that he's doing out in Colorado. He's kind of helping to organize it, but it's the Appalachia on the Rocks.
Yeah.
Which is it's right before Tyler Childers' Red Rock show, where he's,
awesome.
I think John R. Miller's going to be there, Margo Price, Ona, a lot of other great musicians. So I'm looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what kind of, in your mind, when it's a great gig, what kind of elements have to be in place for you to kind of see that? Because I know sometimes it can be the audience isn't really there, but it can lead to a connection to take you on to something else. Or even if there's not that many people, there's just like a vibe to it. What in your head makes what are all the key ingredients for a great gig in your head?
A little bit of all that. Every once in a while you have a great listening audience on a great stage. The management treats you right. I mean, they bring you drinks and feed you, and everything just seems to go very smoothly. I consider a great gig one that I can make at least one new fan. Yeah. And that's pretty simple to do. If I can make a room full of fans, that's even better, of course. But for instance, this last gig that I had in Frankfurt at the Stave, there happened to be a private event going on, and it was a wedding party, and they were all there. Ended up running into the wedding party after the gig was over at the gas station, and they invited me back with them to their hotel. We ended up just like playing music and having some brews and just had a good old time. But every one of them, man, I made sure they followed me on Spotify. And nice. They were all like, hey, when your album comes out, we're going to buy it. So that was a very successful gig, even though, I couldn't set up on the stage because they had, their event basically took up the whole stage area and where I normally set up there, but I had to play on a lower level, and it was an outside show. So I don't know, man, like every once in a while magic happens like that. That gig, I had a fiddle player, Chelsea Parker, and an upright bass player, Jamie Gaddis. And they always bring it, man. Like when we play together, it just adds so much depth to the songs and just the atmosphere that people feel like. I think they pay a little bit more attention when there's a larger band. Yeah.
Do you find that it's a double-edged sword, really? I think, because I've found that, because I'm obviously a solo artist playing my guitar for a while, but then I bring in a fiddle player for some shows, and I was just jamming with him yesterday, and I'm looking to bring in a drummer. It's hard, I think, because it's, the songs are still yours. It's still you're playing those things, but it's weird when there's slightly more elements. It just seems to get a better reception than it is if it's just like a bigger sound or something. It's always kind of frustrating, but you also get it at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. What I really enjoy about having someone else there on stage with me, if I bring one person with me, it's typically a fiddle player. And it just, it gives me a break a little bit, because I can sit there, I can go, play while they're doing a lead or a fill in. And where if it's just me on my acoustic guitar, which I'm not like I'm still working at it, but I'm not a really good like lead guitar player. So it's just, they're hearing either me finger picking a bunch of chords or strumming, but it just breaks up the monotony of that a little bit for the listener. And I just feel more comfortable having people on stage. I play a lot of solo shows, but just having a fiddle player, man, when you're from a long ways off and you hear a fiddle playing, it automatically brings you that direction. Yeah. Like you want to figure out what's going on. So there's just something in I don't know, out in this area, man, we have a lot of Scotch, Irish ancestry. And there's something about hearing that fiddle. It just, it's like, I don't know, ancient.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, man. I don't want to put you on the spot now. Would you rather hear a pedal steel sound or a fiddle sound? What is the one that's going to bring you more joy as you hear it first?
A pedal steel, I prefer pedal steel sound because I love sad songs. I think it's just it just kind of sums up the groaning and the pain that sometimes a sad country song will bring out. A fiddle makes you want to dance. So I feel like I like them both equally, tell you the truth. But my album that's coming out, it's full of pedal steel. I don't have any fiddle on there at all. Because I write a lot of sad songs, sad country songs. Although, I mean, some of them, I do have some more upbeat songs on the album that's coming out. But it's pedal steel heavy.
Well, man, for me, I think I'm leaning towards a pedal steel as well. But one of my favorite noises in the world is when someone just hits a chord on a resonator and then just slides up the fretboard and just starts hitting those high notes. Just that sound to me is just something I always smile to myself whenever I hear that noise.
Yeah, kind of a bluesy feel.
But with the new album, so that's out in October, is it? Has there been a release date set for that yet?
That's actually going to be out next Friday.
Awesome.
September is my release date, and I just had, I wanted it out way before this, and it just took way longer because of the pandemic, getting back to the studio, getting everybody lined up, getting the album art done and the photo shoots and just everything that it just took way longer than I anticipated. But it's finally going to be out, and September the 10th is when it goes live. It's going to go live on Spotify, iTunes. I use DistroKid to distribute it, so there's a list of like 30 places they'll put that album, so
awesome,
people can download it, listen to it.
Yeah, great. Well, this episode will come out tomorrow on the 7th to predate your album, so I'll make sure to drop all links, and if there's a pre-save link and stuff, I'll drop it all in this. But with the photography from it and stuff, obviously the album itself, the music is its own thing. What kind of approach did you come to with the album artwork? Because I know it's very like striking from what I've seen on Facebook and stuff. It's got that really great shot of you with the title and everything. What was your concept behind like the creation of the actual visual package of the album? And Connie from La Honda Records actually hit you up with the album artwork?
Yeah, which I was so happy about that, man, because she does very top-notch work. I mean, her style is just exactly what I wanted. And she got back with me. I'd done a photo shoot with Alexis Faye, who is Morgan Wade's tour manager, and she's also like just a great photographer. And I've known her for a while, but she had done a photo shoot for me, and I picked out one of the pictures that I liked the most, and I sent it to Connie. I told her, this is the one I want to use, but you can feel free to design the art however you want to. And she gave me 3 different options. And this option for the album was the one that she liked the most. And so I went with that. I mean, I had no second guesses, man. I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. And I got a good response when I put it out there. Everybody's, it definitely stands out. It has a kind of a 60s, 70s kind of feel to it. Which and a lot of my songs on there have a kind of an old school country feel. So it just fit perfectly.
Cool, man. And with that kind of old school feel, what have been your influences, not just in general stuff? Were you listening to anyone specific while you were writing and recording the album that you had in your head who's someone who was inspiring this creation at this point in time?
Well, when I started putting this album together, I was listening to a lot of George Jones. I mean, I was listening to a lot of Chris Knight, Robert Earl Keen, Jason Isbell. I mean, those guys right there, I mean, they did inspire me quite a bit. I mean, you'll hear some reflections of them in my songs, but it was very difficult to whittle down what I wanted to put on the album, because I'd written so many songs, and I kind of relied on social media, like if I had a good response on a song that I would put out there, it was a contender for the album. And so ultimately I let my producer kind of go through the songs and figure out what he thought all fit together nicely. And so we picked out 10 songs. 3 of them are already available
The other three, most people have heard them before, but not in this way. It's fully produced. You'll hear pedal steel and bass and lead guitar and percussion, some piano in there too.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to getting it out there and seeing what people think.
Cool, man. And you kickstarted this album, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I picked a goal of, it took me 45 days, but I picked a goal of $4,500, and it exceeded the goal. Like I got it by, I think, 5,100 or something. So it went over what I wanted. Now that didn't cover the entire cost of the album, of course, but it really got me started.
Yeah.
And and that was another thing. It took a lot longer financially too, because there's so many things that you don't think about when you start an album that you have for. And so I just had to take it a little bit at a time. And now here I am. The next thing I've got to do is I've got to fulfill the orders from the Kickstarter, which there were several incentives along the way to donate. It was t-shirts and albums and handwritten lyric sheets and things like that. So as soon as I get the albums printed up, I'll be sending thing out. I think I had maybe 70 or 80 people contribute.
Nice. That's really good, man.
Pretty good response, man. I was.
Yeah, I think like what you were saying about like when you were kind of having those songs out and letting people kind of decide. One of the things I really enjoy about your kind of presence, obviously I haven't seen you face to face because there's an ocean separating us, but one of the things I've enjoyed from afar is you have this real sense of community around you. And I think Kentucky and like the artists around you that like your contemporaries really have this like community tight knit feel to them. Do you think that has that must have helped really like strengthen your Kickstarter campaign and people being interested in the songs as you were like kind of writing and showcasing them?
It did. It really helped a lot. I mean, I could not have done it without a handful of people that really, they had a large amount of followers and they would share my Kickstarter. And Ashley Wells was one of those, JJ Waters, WB Walker, just had a lot of people that had, they had been building their brand up for a long time and really helped me out by sharing it and got people involved. And then I haven't really been doing this for that long. I mean, I started writing music 3 or 4 years ago, and it's only been a couple of years that I've been out playing shows. So I think a lot of people had seen these motorcycles. They had seen my progress, man, like from the very beginning of me just sitting in my living room, trying to put a song together, to the point where they were sharing my Kickstarter. I think they liked to see that, like a success story of sorts. And I really felt nervous doing that. Nobody wants to ask for money, but I was trying to just see what it would do. Yeah. And it just gives you such a confidence when it happens. And you're like, man, this is everything that I had planned out. It's coming true, man. And that's another thing about you have to have this mindset of determination. Yeah. Because there are a lot of artists here. There are a lot of ways that you can kind of get drowned out. And so you definitely just have to keep going. You just have to keep going. And the friends that had, put their hands on my shoulder, looked me dead in the eye and told me, like, you have to keep going, keep doing this. And I was determined, man. And I still am. I'm looking forward to the future and seeing what this album does and getting out and touring on it and then coming up with the next one. I mean, I already have enough songs to do 3 or 4 more albums, but nice. I already have the second one kind of planned out, what I want to do. And I don't know what I'm going to do exactly as far as producing it, whether it's going to be a stripped down thing or, similar to what this first album is going to be. But I kind of already know what the songs are going to be on there, and maybe write some ones. But I don't know. That's another thing when you put an album out that took, it took a little over a year, maybe a year and a half to produce. I've written songs that I like way better than some of that are on there.
Mm.
And but these, I think this represents where I was through 2019 and 2020. And so just looking forward to getting it out.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. I think sometimes it gets lost that these albums are like, they are also meant to capture that moment in time. They're not meant to represent like, necessarily the best work or the most current work, but it's the most honest of the time work, I think. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your record. From the three I've heard, it really does have that like timely but timeless feel. And I really enjoy that about your writing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. And they, like Outside the Lines was the first song that I had released. And at the time, I didn't know that it was going to be on an album. I just wanted to put a song out there. And I think I did a little bit backwards. I think most people have an album already planned, and then they start pulling out songs that they consider as singles. But I just wanted to kind of build up, because I'd go to the studio, I would pay for one day, we'd get a song done, and then I would release it. And the song was "I Was Killing You." It was one that I was going through some really, really hard times, man. And it just, I got inspired to write that one laying on my couch one night. And I was looking at some artwork on Instagram that a buddy of mine had put out there. And that was actually one of the kind of the script under one of his paintings that was "I Was Killing You." And I started looking at his other work. And so he had all these scripts underneath this artwork. And so I started putting the sentences together, and I made this song. And I gave him, he's not a singer songwriter, but I gave him 50% co-write credit on it because he inspired it. So,
yeah, that's
but
so like,
I
that's
think
so awesome.
That was the third one I put on. But yeah, check his work out, man. If you type in Startsman on Instagram, you'll see all his artwork. But we live in the same town.
Yeah, is that the artwork that's on the Spotify thumbnail as well for that?
No, the second song I put out was "Flying on Mama's Feet." Say that again.
Was I Always Killing You? Was is the artwork on your Spotify? Is that the artwork that he's done?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Yes. I love that thumbnail, or that piece of art. It's worthy of more than just a thumbnail.
Yeah, and then I ended up putting that on the back of the shirt. The shirt folks get sent to them has that on the back, the whole back, and then my logo on the front.
Nice.
But yeah, he's also done two posters for me. He did one recently of a song that I just wrote called "Lost You," and there's a picture of me kind of like playing guitar on the bottom, and then there's a beautiful like redheaded woman like looking off in the distance. He did that one, and then I have a poster that I sell, at my gigs. He designed that one, but he's just he's a very creative dude, and he's going to come up with another logo for me real soon. Yeah. But now the second song I put out was called "It Was on Mama's Feet." That was much about growing up in Berea, Kentucky. So I try to make each song that I selected for the album have meaning to me and my hometown upbringing and my friends. And like I said, man, 2020 is about broke me in a lot of different ways, but music was the medicine, man. It helped me get through. So I wanted to bring an album out that reflected kind of my survival through that year. And I think it does it.
No, that's awesome, man. With the full album, was there a process behind how you organized the tracks, like within the actual record?
Yeah, I did. I organized them to get kind of a good flow. I didn't want too many sad songs in a row. I kind of want to mix it up with more upbeat stuff. I start the album out with "Outside the Lines" because that's the very first song that I put out. And I think it just sets the whole stage for the album. It's about two, this couple that find each other, and they're both having hard times at their own homes in different ways. The song's about the female in the song
Mm.
about how she does not want to go home because there's some issues at home, and I don't spell it out exactly, but I insinuate that there's a you know, an abuse situation happening at home. So that song means a lot to me, man. It means a lot to a lot of other people, and so I wanted that to be front and center. And then I kind of bring you on through this ride. The first side. Trying to think of the order. I have to look at my album cover again, but it's my producer and the guy that mixed and mastered it also helped with that decision process on how it was going to flow.
Yeah.
And also another thing we had to look at was I want to print this thing up in vinyl, and we had to have the timing just right too.
Yeah.
So that influenced it, because we kept it to I want to say the whole album's under 40 minutes. So it's an easy one to get in your car and listen to, you know, and kind of takes you on that ride.
Yeah, man.
How you doing? I'm doing a podcast. Yeah. But yeah, man, I appreciate being able to talk to you, and I've been following you guys for a while, and I listened to that podcast most recently. I guess was it James Reed the last one you did?
Yeah, I had him out a while ago. I think Jamie Wyatt was the last one I had on for this.
Oh, Jamie Wyatt.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah, but with like album listens, like talking of vinyl, I kind of didn't realize, and then once it was actually getting made into vinyl, the thing I realized about album ordering was what song to end like side A on, and that in itself was like another choice then, which made me rethink how to construct the album, because then you have to think about what song is going to end that's going to make someone want to get up and actually flip side B over, and then what do you do on side B to catapult them back into the experience after they've like switched. And it's a really interesting kind of thought process to think about, not just an album order in terms of like flow and story, but then with those type of interruptions and things you have to do for vinyl.
Yeah, that was definitely consideration. I end the first side with a song called Coyotes Cry. And it's kind of an epic song, you know, like it kind of has a cinematic feel to it. The first side of the B side, or the first song on the B side, is called Motorbike. It's up tempo, kind of has a little bit of a Tom Petty feel to it. So I want to get, you know, people are going to come out of that side A with a kind of a melodramatic feel, and then all of a sudden, boom, back on the road, you know.
Nice.
And so, but I thought about that a lot. I had thought about different orders. The one that I picked, man, I feel like it's the way it needed to be. Kind of the B side ends with a song called "Doing Fine," and it's very, I don't know, man. It's a little bit of a sad song, because the guy, by the song title, is doing fine, but the guy is not doing fine. In fact, he says that, you know, basically the day that he gets buried, just remember that he loved once. And now he's doing fine. So it's like the fact that he's doing fine means he's gone.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And that's very, you know, I can, even just from like that brief description, I can hear like the George Jones-esque like vibe to that, where I always love that kind of wordplay and tongue-in-cheek thing of, you know, even like Bottle to the Bottom by Christopherson, where it's got that kind of reversed like play with all those type of things. But talking about Outside the Lines briefly, you talked about how it hints at, you know, abuse and things. Was it a conscious decision to, you know, kind of keep it vague and keep it, you know, in people's imaginations instead of spelling it out for people?
It was, because, you know, some people will listen to that song and not even pick up on that. They'll just think it's a love story between, you know, a couple of high school kids, just getting out and doing their thing for a summer. But if you listen a little closer, I mean, you listen several times, you'll pick up on little keys here and there that, even with the guy in the song, I wanted to kind of give a feel that he has a little bit of a materialistic side, and perhaps he found comfort in this girl that was not like that. She was kind of like a little bit of a rebel. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to to listen to it.
Mm.
Let's step in here real quick because it may get a little noisy. These motorcycles rolling in. But yeah, I wanted to be vague enough so that people could make up their own story.
Mm.
But also ultimately, I wanted to give this girl in the song. I wanted to give like a voice to her and what she was dealing with. And I didn't want that to be too super vague.
Mm.
You know, the one line where it took this guy years to, you know, think about her situation and not even realizing at the time what she was going through, but years later he's contemplating on it, and he knows that he understands why she was crying when he would try to hold her hand, you know, and because she just didn't want to be touched.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no doubt. That's such like a powerful thing, and like I've listened to Outside the Lines a couple of times now. I'm gonna need to go back and listen closer to that one and crank it up a bit. But that's a really interesting thing for when, as a songwriter, what do you leave in and what do you leave out, and what you let people interpret and things. But I read in your biography that you wrote your first song in 2018. What was it that was the catalyst between you picking up a guitar and starting to write your own songs?
I had done I did a cover song and I put it out on Instagram. It was Can't You See? I did that cover like everybody else does. And I put it out, had a good response. And so then I did another one. I put it out, had a good response. And, you know, they're like, man, you gotta sing. Like, you have a good voice and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, well, why don't I? And so one day I was like, you know what? I just need to write my own song. And so I sat down and I wrote a song called Hey Betty. And it was one that kind of based on a story my grandpa told me years ago. And about he ended up getting in a little trouble and had to leave Kentucky, and he moved to Ohio. It took my grandmother, and I'm going to write a more detailed song based on a little bit more accuracy, but because I do fabricate a little bit in the song, because there were no pills involved, there was no like drug addictions or anything like that, but in the song there was. But yeah, I wanted to have something that I love family history. I love keeping things. I'm very conscious of my future, who I lead, you know, my legacy, and like people that years and years and years down the road that are my relatives, how they'll listen to my songs. And I want to be able to carry some of that family history through my lyrics. And so I figured like the first one I did, I wanted to base it kind of on something my grandpa told me. And we do have music on that side of the family. My mom told me one time that she's like, I think your great uncle wrote some famous songs, and I knew he was part of the band. But one day I was trying to find some of the songs that she told me that he had written, and his name was Buford Abner. He ended up, I would type his name in, and Sturgill Simpson's face kept popping up. I was like, what the hell is going on? And but he ended up, Buford Abner was the one that wrote the song Long White Line.
Oh, really?
It's my great uncle. Yeah. And then my other great uncle on the Dalton side, Doug Dalton, he had a band. He was in a band called the Whippoorwills. They were like a Western swing band, and they ended up playing with Roy Rogers, and they played several shows with the Sons of the Pioneers, and really, I mean, got kind of big there until rock and roll destroyed it. But yeah, that side of my family, man, my grandpa, I kind of wish that he had lived to see me playing shows. I mean, he had no clue. He had no clue that I was going to end up doing this. I didn't either. But you know, we had a really close bond. He died when he was 97 years old, still riding motorcycles, and just, you know, he was an artist too. Loved to paint, loved to build little wooden toys, and just I think he had that creative energy that I got. You know, that I probably got through him, that side of the family.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
Always got to be doing something. Always got to be writing or building or doing something.
Yeah. No, that's so good. And I think it's weird, man, because I've had zero musical, like anyone in my family to ever play anything. And, you know, people may see that shows in my own work and stuff. But ages ago, or like a few months ago, my mum found a load of old photos from my nan's house. And I found the first ever picture of someone other than myself in like my family tree playing an instrument, and it's my great granddad in his World War II uniform. He's got an accordion, and he's like playing that. He must have had some. I don't know how good he was. I don't know anything about it, but that's the only member of my family I've seen have an instrument.
That's cool.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
with,
my great grandfather on my dad's side of the family, the Rogers side, he played, but not professionally. He had an old guitar that he, from what I understand, he used to play at weddings and just family events and things like that. But yeah, I picked the guitar up. I always had a guitar around growing up, but I never really tried to play it until, several years ago. And by play it, I mean like 5 chords. You know what I'm saying? I still want to learn how to play lead guitar.
It's hard, man. I think, like, are you finger picking lead and stuff? Because I suck at finger picking. Do you have any like routines or practices you go through to play guitar?
I play a little bit every day. Like this morning, I had a cup of coffee on the front porch, and I always bring my guitar out there with me, and I'll just play a couple of things. And every once in a while, like this morning, I'll be inspired to write a new song, which I started this morning. But yeah, I mean, I do about half and half. I like to do some finger picking, but it depends on the setting too. If I'm in a loud kind of a room, I'll do some finger picking songs as the volume dies down.
Yeah.
If I'm in a loud room or something like that, people were just talking, I'll play my louder songs, and it's usually the ones that I'm strumming that I can just like yell out.
Yeah. And with the song you were working on this morning, when you write something, was that an idea that came like lyrics first, or as you were like noodling around on the guitar, did the music come first and then the words start trying to form what you were like, what the vibe was as you were playing?
This morning it was the melody first. I had a melody, and sometimes a melody will start to talk to you. And I know that sounds weird, but that's the way I'll hear words sometimes in the melody, and I know that those, and I'll, if I can come out with one sentence from the sound of the melody, then I usually can have the start of another song.
Yeah. Cool, man.
But, yeah, there was a couple lines that I had this morning, which I don't know if they're going to stay in there or not, but she one of them was, she pistol whipped my conscience.
Nice.
But realized it was already gone. But I was like, pistol whipped my conscience. I was like, that needs to be in there.
Definitely, man. Do you have, like, when you think of these lyrics, are you precious about certain phrases being in things and having to stay in that way, or are you a lot more fluid in changing it around of that phrase or sentence and making it fit somewhere else?
I mean, sometimes I feel like certain things have a special nature to them because I haven't heard them before. If I haven't heard a line before, specifically that like that one I just told you, that one's unique enough that it's probably got to make the song. Other lines I don't get attached to because you may have heard them in other songs before in certain different ways, but I don't know, there's nothing new under the sun either. Everything's already been said, but it's just a matter of, sometimes you can have a very plain Jane song, lyrically, but you have a killer melody, and sometimes it's the opposite. But yeah, I usually try to lean heavily on the unique lines, and just if I'm co-writing or something, there'll be times where I have to insist that no, this one's got to stay in there. Which I do like.
And with co-writing you've done with like Philip David Harris and James Reed, what's kind of your approach to those songwriting sessions with other people? Typically
one of us will have an idea for the song and maybe even a good start on it. And then sometimes the song will already be written, and somebody will say, hey, I want your input on this, and I'll say, I'll go through and make some suggestions, and we'll end up rewriting the song. And very rarely we'll just have a song title to work with. Those usually take the longest. The song, are you familiar with Dalton Mills?
Yeah.
We wrote a song together called Verse, Chorus, Verse. And it's on his album, and I'm putting it on my album too. But the way that I do is way different. Mine actually has more of an upbeat feel to it. But the way we started that one was he had the idea and had the first few opening lines, and then we just went back and forth from that point. And that song was written pretty quickly. I want to say it was after a day.
Oh, really?
Maybe a day and a half. Yeah. And sometimes they're like that, man. Sometimes some songs are. It's like they are. I've said this before in other podcasts, but like they're already written, and you just like pull them out of the sky. That's how I kind of think about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that kind of like it's nothing can't come from something and something can't come from nothing. It's that cyclical thing that like sometimes you do just kind of pull these things out the ether.
Yeah. And it's a good feeling when it happens.
Yeah.
I really, I'm not afraid to put a song down. If it's taken me too long to write, I'll put it down and it'll go into the junkyard of songs. Man, everybody's on their bikes today.
Yeah.
And so I have a graveyard of songs, and I'll just every once in a while I'll walk through the aisles of the songs stacked up, while they're rusting, and I'll pull off a part here and there and use it in another song.
Yeah. No, that's the best thing to do with these songs and stuff, because like some of them are under contract with Banner Music in Nashville. How did that come about? With like, did you pitch them to places or did they approach you?
The guy that I used to write with, Philip David Harris, he was a writer for Banner Music, and he lived in Alabama. They allowed him to write, even though they were based on Music Row in Nashville. They allowed him to write remotely, and so we started doing a lot of co-writes together. And we submitted them. Any song we had that kind of had a feel of like, hey, this could be on the radio, or I could hear so and so artist singing this one. We would pitch that to Banner. So we could send them. We could send them directly to the owner, actually, and they would listen to them. And they may hear 20 songs and pick one, and that's what they did. We had our first one was called "A Kansas Colored Sky," and that one got a contract. And what they do once they get the contract, they will send it to. If they sometimes they do a professional demo, other times they'll just use the phone demo that I send them, and they'll give it to their song plugger, and a song plugger will go around to the artists that they know are looking for a specific style song, and they will try to pitch it to them. And so it's everybody's kind of dream as a songwriter to get a cut in Nashville.
Yeah.
So even though I'm considered a Nashville published songwriter, I still don't have a cut yet, a major cut. That's coming down the line. I have a gut feeling, man, especially the song that James Reed and I wrote. We got a contract on it through Banner Music, and it's called "Call Me Jack," kind of loosely based on the song Jack and Diane, but kind of got a good feel to it, man. And James he has the same confidence level that I do about it. Like we're already dreaming about what we're going to do when it goes number one, all that kind of stuff.
And with those kind of songs, does that mean that like, can you record those songs and put them on your records and stuff? Or is it, specifically for like the song plugger to use and then to move on to people? I don't really know how that kind of like world works in Nashville.
Yeah. Well, I would, if I put it on my album, the way that it is right now. So let's take Call Me Jack, for instance. James and I wrote the song, so we were both 50% owners of that song until we got a contract on it. Now Banner Music owns 50%, and James and I have 25% each.
Yeah.
And so if I put it on my album, it might do two things. I'm not going to get much as far as royalties off the song. And it could mess up the chances of another major artist deciding to pick it up because they want to have something that nobody's heard before.
Yeah, like an exclusivity to it.
Yeah, something like that. Now, I will play that song at shows occasionally, especially when James and I are doing a show. Sometimes we'll get up and sing that song together, but that's not something like that's not going to mess it up. But having it on an album, in the art, what an artist is going to want to do is they're going to want to have something that's catchy enough that people are going to want to listen to it and get on the charts and all this kind of thing. If they hear a song that it's already on my album or somebody else's album, then they are going to look at, okay, how's the song performed?
Yeah.
And if it hasn't done anything, they're going to skip up on it. So they want to have the chance to let people hear it first so that they can make it however they want to.
No, that makes sense, man. That's really interesting. And with those songwriter sessions, do you write sometimes with the frame of mind of we want to write a song to pitch to people, or is it as you're co-writing stuff, you go, this might be something we can pitch to people?
I rarely will write a song that I think that, okay, this is one I want it to get on the radio or try to pitch it to, a publishing house. But it's the second thing you said. It's basically after I write it, we get a melody going, and it's like, you know what, this might make it, and it's usually a song that I'm not in love with. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have a whole lot of me in it that I feel like it's sacred to me, and I wouldn't want to sell it. Or it's usually very kind of, like songs you hear on the radio. I mean, they're kind of like very generic kind of feeling. A Kansas Colored Sky I was actually surprised they picked that one up. It has an old school, feel to it, like a 90s sounding country song. And then what's the other one we got besides Call Me Jack? I'm thinking of it a minute. I'll think of the other song here in a minute. But it was also one that I was called Storms of Yesterday. The song's basically about a guy that goes to a live show, and the songs kind of strike him, and he just like gets wasted drunk. And it brings back the storms of yesterday, So, but yeah, it was like, I wasn't in love with the song. I do play it occasionally at some shows, but I don't know. I will tell you a song that I'm in love with that I wrote with Cody Howard. I play it every show. It's called Another Life, and it's definitely going to be the next album, because I don't know, man. It's one that people will start requesting now too.
That's awesome, man.
And I always feel good about that one.
Oh, cool. And at the moment, you've got some gigs this weekend. Have you got a tour throughout the States? I know you've got some New York dates planned as well. What's kind of the future once you've released this record this week? What is the plan going forward with it all?
The plan going forward, let me get these motorcycles out of the way real quick. The plan going forward we need a muffler shop around here, I guess. With the album, man, I do want to take it on tour. I want to do a series of album release shows. And I've got one planned already at a place called Elixir. It's downtown Lexington. I also want to do one I've got the okay to do one at a place called The Venue in Moorhead, Kentucky. Real nice stage, beautiful sound system. And my dream is to play at the Burl, man. I still haven't played the Burl. It's like the big venue in Lexington, where so many people that I look up to have played the stage there, and I want to try to work that out. But yeah, basically a series of album release shows. Now this next tour we're getting ready to go on, it's not necessarily like an album tour. It's just a series of gigs that James Reed, myself, and Carly Driftwood got. And we had a blast the last tour we did, and we decided to do another one. But yeah, moving forward, I got a festival I'm playing this weekend. Monday I'll be down at a listening room in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and then Tuesday I've got a show in Chattanooga with James Reed. And I think we're trying to get a show for Wednesday down there somewhere. But yeah, just constantly doing something.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. How do you because this month and August and shit has just been a fucking write-off for me. I've just kind of been like chasing my tail and losing track of time. How do you kind of manage your time and stay on top of things and keep motivated to keep doing what you do? And I know it's quite a wide and vague question, but what is it you think that keeps you like ticking over and driving and striving forward?
The thought of being an old man and having regrets.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
ultimately it, man. I mean, you make a lot of sacrifices to do this, and I do not want that to be in vain. You know, I want to give it I don't want to half-ass anything. And so I do have to, you know, it is kind of a nauseating process sometimes when you're self-promoting all the time. And I do hope to have a team at some point, have, you know, that will do that kind of stuff for me, like a management team of some sort. And because it can be overwhelming, you know, because I'm making flyers for each show and getting gigs, and then worrying like, okay, 3 months out, where do I need to be?
Yeah.
And just constantly but I do wake up every day thinking about it and doing something to, you know, move the ball down the field.
No, it's crazy, man. I think there is that motivation, and I think that's the nail on the head, man. It's like you don't want to be an old dude and realize that you didn't really fucking get to where you needed to be, and that was just because you didn't put in those extra couple of hours, or you didn't, you know, drive those extra hours to that show and put the time in. That's nail on the head for that.
Yeah, it's like there's no guarantees about anything. You know, who knows if we are going to quote unquote make it. You know, I've made it in several ways already. But what my dream is to be able to do this for a living.
Yeah.
And to not have to, you know, I do heating and air and refrigeration usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the rest of the week is typically for my music and gigs and everything. But at one point I want it to be all music.
Yeah. No, man, that's definitely,
So
I think
it'll go ahead.
I think you're really going about it like the right way. You've built that community. You've had people on this journey for so long that you really have like an invested audience and fan base, which is completely well deserved. And I really think you're on the right path for it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. It's been a lot of work, you know, but we got in Kentucky, in this region, we got some really great fans, and they support us, man. They support us by coming to the shows and buying our merch and spreading the word. Even when they don't come to shows, they'll share it on their social media, and all that helps.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Well, we're coming up to the hour mark, and obviously I don't want to keep you too much of the day. I know you're currently sitting in a van and fending off bikers and things. So I just want to, you know, wish you luck with the album. I can't wait to hear it. And yeah, I can't wait. Also, I need to get you and fucking James Reed over to the UK to do some shows and stuff as well. That's what I really want to see you guys do next.
Well, let's do it, man. We'll definitely come over. Maybe you can go on tour with us.
That'd be awesome, man. And that was episode 39 of Into the Van, Into the Bag with Lance Rogers. Lance's new album is out September 10th. That's this Friday, guys. Please go check out. It is at every streaming platform available. Pick up a physical copy, head over to his Bandcamp, head over to his store, and just keep supporting the things you love. I'm lucky enough to be going on tour with Cam Cole this month. We are doing Liverpool on Wednesday the 8th of September. Then it is Birmingham on the 15th. Glasgow on the 17th, and Edinburgh on the 21st. If you're available, please come on down. Keep an eye out for all my other tour dates on mike333west.com, and keep doing what you love, guys. Keep enjoying what you love, and keep supporting what you love. Peace.